Hey everyone, today we are going to talk about breastfeeding. I told myself way back when I was pregnant with Addison that I would try it, and then if I couldn't do it, I wasn't going to be mad at myself, I wasn't going to hate myself for it. So I kind of went into the whole thing really open-minded and hoping that I could breastfeed, but not being so set on it that I would be upset if I couldn't, if that makes sense, because I know that it's really hard, and you know, it's harder for some moms and other moms it's really easy. So I just thought I would give it a shot and see how it would work. So when Addison was born, at that point in time, my milk hadn't come in yet, so I was pumping round the clock, just trying to get my milk supply up. And she was also, as you guys know, in NICU for 10 days. So I was at home pumping, I was pumping at the hospital. In the beginning, I was only getting the colostrum, obviously, so they were just mixing that with the formula that they had there for infants, and that was fine. And then my milk came in, and I had enough milk so that I could bring to the hospital every single day, and I could pump at the hospital, and she never had to have any formula while she was in the hospital. When we came home, I tried to exclusively breastfeed for about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, and it was really painful for me. I thought maybe she's got to have a tongue tie or a lip tie, or something has to be wrong. Maybe it's me, I don't know. I was trying to figure out the problem and a solution because it was really painful for me, and honestly we were both just getting really frustrated at the whole situation. When I went to the doctor, I asked them, does she have a lip tie? Does she have a tongue tie? No. They said that she had a little bit of a tongue tie, but really not much, not anything to really worry about, and it really wasn't affecting her latch at all. So I was thinking, well, maybe it's me. So I just, for that reason, it was so painful for me that I was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna try and pump. Let's see if I can pump and do this. So from what people say, like, oh, your milk supply goes down if you're pumping, that's maybe for some people, but for me, I was pumping every 2 hours on the dot, so I had enough milk. I was actually pumping way more than she was eating, so I have like 25 bags stocked in the freezer, and she had enough milk. Anytime she needed it, we had it. I told myself I was gonna pump for a couple weeks, try again, and I kept periodically just trying to, you know, put her on and see if she would latch, and it's just still really painful. And honestly, I thought maybe at that point, I thought, okay, maybe we have thrush. I didn't see, you know, because I know that it can be like on the tongue or on the lips, like some kind of rash for the baby, or a diaper rash. So I kept checking for that and nothing. So, but for me, I looked like I had thrush. When I took her to her doctor's appointment, I asked him, does she have it? Because if she has it, then I have it, and vice versa. She's in her swing next to me, so if you can hear her talking, she's just waking up from her nap. So when I took her to the doctor, they said, no, she has no thrush, she doesn't have it at all. They checked her and said that she doesn't have it. So I'm like, well, there's no way for her to not have it and for me to have it. But when I went to my 6-week checkup appointment at my doctor's office, she said that she thought that maybe I did. I also have psoriasis, so I don't know. And I still don't know. I haven't been to a dermatologist. I know I'm bad. I haven't been to a dermatologist, but I don't know if that's what I have, is just psoriasis there or what. But it looked like thrush, but it's not thrush. So I ended up pumping for quite some time. It was maybe like 2 months. And let me tell you right now how difficult it is. Now, people who can pump for longer periods of time, I mean, serious kudos to you. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, to have to watch the clock and it just feels like you're pumping all day long. So I had my little bra on so I could do, you know, hands-free pumping, but still it was just, you know, you have to be tied down. You can get the ones that have the battery on it, but my insurance covered mine, and it's just the one that you plug into the wall. So I had to use that one, and every 2 hours I'm like, oh, it's been 2 hours, okay, I need to pump. Okay, it's been 2 hours, I need to pump. And honestly, if we went down south to visit family, I had to bring my pump. If we wanted to go out, I had to make sure that I pumped before we left, and I had to make sure that I was back 3 hours tops, you know, like, it's just very time consuming. It takes up your whole day. You're always thinking about it. When's the last time I pumped? Like, how much milk is there? And then, you know, it's just, it's really tiring. It was really hard for me, but you know what? I managed to do it. Probably a little over a month and a half, 2 months is how long that I pumped for, and it felt like forever. I mean, the days kind of went by quickly only because it's so repetitive. I mean, you get up, you do this, you pump, you do this, and you pump, and you do that, and you pump, and it's just constant. So, but I mean, the good thing is I got my freezer stocked with milk. I had my fridge stocked with milk all the time, and I was just still pumping. I just really wanted to make sure that I could keep up my milk supply because I didn't know when I was going to be able to start actually just exclusively breastfeeding again. So about 2 months went by and I was like, you know what, let me just try. We were going down south for the day to visit with family, and I didn't want to take my stupid pump with me. So I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna try breastfeeding. So I did. I went down south with no pump, very risky on my part because, you know, it had been painful, but I figured, you know what, if we're gonna just go down there, if it's painful, we'll just go back to pumping. But like for the time being, while I'm down there, I could just breastfeed her. It's not gonna be, you know, the end of the world. Let's just try it. So I did. I took her down. We breastfed all day and it was great. I didn't have any pain, which was really weird. So for the days following, I just kept on trying to breastfeed. And I would kind of like pump in the morning and then pump at night just to make sure I'm emptying because I didn't know if she was emptying, and you know, so for that matter, I was just pumping in the morning and at night, and then during the day we were just breastfeeding. Now she's a little over 3 months old and we exclusively breastfeed. I don't even really pump anymore. So that's good. I have the milk stocked up in the freezer that I need for if we ever go on date nights or anything like that. I don't have to constantly watch the clock. But you know, like, breastfeeding is also a really rough thing, you know, like I'm still trying to make sure that she's emptying and she's getting enough milk. And I guess that's the pros and cons, you know, like when you're pumping and you have a bottle, you know how much your baby is eating. When she's breastfeeding, I have no idea. So when she's full, she just gets off and I'm like, okay, she's full, but you know, then sometimes she wants to eat an hour later. So I don't know, it's different. There are pros and cons to both. For me personally, it's just my lifestyle. I like to be out and about. I like to visit with family. I like to go down south and to go shopping and things like that. And I don't want to constantly be like, I need to go home and pump before we do this. I need to make sure I bring my pump with me if we go down there to do that. You know, it's just, it's really time consuming. It was really, really hard. And then also too, when we go out and she's hungry, I have to always make sure I'm carrying a bottle with me, and you know, you can't heat up breast milk. You have to just put it in a warm thing of water. So I would always have to make sure I brought my Tommy Tippy bottle warmer with me, which always worked great. It always worked great. Everything was fine with that. But it's just, to me, it was much more of a hassle for middle of the night waking up. She's better with sleeping now, but in the beginning she was waking up kind of a lot hungry, and it was really hard for me to get up and like make a bottle when I just wanted to sleep. And you know, it's just a lot easier to breastfeed. A lot of the time too, like she would need to be eating while I was pumping, and so I'd be sitting here pumping and trying to feed her with a bottle at the same time. And you know, thank goodness for Anthony a lot of the time, because my husband would really take over a lot of the feedings. Like, you know, at night when he was home, he would feed her and I would be able to pump, because it's just a lot. It's a lot. So people who do that all the time, just for months and months on end, or just exclusively pump for the entire year, I mean, kudos. Top my hat off to you, because it is hard, very draining, time consuming. Breastfeeding now is going great. We don't have thrush. We never had thrush. I still don't know if I have psoriasis. I may have psoriasis there, but I don't know. It's not painful for me anymore, so that is the good part. And so now we're just trying to keep up milk supply, and whenever I feel it getting kind of low, which it's happened a couple of times, where I'm like, oh, I think I'm getting kind of lopsided, which I am a little bit lopsided. My right side always makes more than my left, and it's been that way since day one. But sometimes I'll feel like I'm getting low, so I'll just pump here and there on one side and always start feeding her on that side, and you know, everything works out. I'm trying to hold out as long as I can, but you know, my goal, I already met my goal, really, just to breastfeed, at least with the colostrum in the beginning, and I mean, just to breastfeed at all. You know, I didn't, like I said, I didn't have a mindset that I was going to breastfeed and that was the only thing I was going to do. So the fact that I've made it over 3 months and she's just had breast milk, and very little formula whenever I have supplemented her has been very few times. You know, like that's a lot in itself. I really am happy that I was able to do that for her. And so if I had to stop breastfeeding tomorrow, you know, I would be a little bit upset, but I wouldn't be mad at myself. And nothing against formula either, because she's had formula a few times, and you know, some people I know just don't make milk, don't have time for it, and go back to work right away. Like, that's another thing, is going back to work. It's just, you know, and pumping is a huge part of people's lives when they have to go to work. And I didn't have to go to work, thank goodness. I just was able to stay home, and because I was in pain, I just continued to pump, and you know what, it ended up working out. So, you know, your body is made to make as much milk as your baby needs, and mine seems to not be letting me down thus far. So yeah, that is it for my breastfeeding journey. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.